Muskegon's 100.9, that is Eddie Grant rocking the Electric Avenue. It is 7:05. Andy O, welcome to Thursday. Got yourself 22 degrees out there right now, and a great weekend is on tap. Not only for the forecast, which is sunshine in the mid to upper 30s, both Saturday and Sunday. It is a great weekend here in Muskegon, and it has been for quite some time because the Newsies and the Goodfellows are going to be out on the street corners. And they've got a special edition of the Chronicle that they sell every year to raise money to assure that no child be forgotten over the Christmas holidays. And Deb Mogdis is here this morning. Deb, you've been running this program since when?
I have been the Goodfellows president since 2000. And then when the old Newsies and the Goodfellows became one board of directors in 2012, I became that president, and I will be until I decide to step down.
That's how it works, huh?
That's how it works.
Lifetime appointment.
That's right. I was only the third president of the Goodfellows in 78 years, so I guess it's a long, long legacy.
Yeah, you got a while to go then, don't you?
I have a while to go.
Talk a little bit about the work that the group does. The old now is it really separate groups, or is it a?
It was until 2012. The
Okay.
old Newsies used to elect a board every single year, and they did their thing, getting ready to sell the Goodfellows Extra on the corner,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. And the Goodfellows were the volunteers that packed the bags with the money that is brought in every year. But we decided that we were basically taking care of the same thing with two different boards of directors, so we decided to combine them.
Yep.
And look for the future as the organization as one. So we are now called the Old Newsies Goodfellows of Muskegon County. And like I said, I have been involved. I've been involved since 1999, and then
Yep.
took over the presidency in 2000.
Wow.
I really enjoy it. I have a great group of volunteers. The Old Newsies started out as retired newspaper boys.
Yeah.
That used to actually deliver the paper door to door several years ago. And the editor of the Chronicle at the time in 1936, after receiving so many letters from families asking for help around Christmas, decided that this group was needed. And so he followed it from the Detroit Old Newsboys that have been in.
Because I had a friend on Facebook mention that kind of thing goes on down in Detroit as
Yes,
well.
they've been around since 1914.
Wow.
So yeah. So he, contacted the editor over there that started that program, and brought it over here right in the middle of the Depression, and it's been going strong ever since.
Talk about the need that you guys fill. I mean, I'm sure the number changes year in and year out, but on average, how many kids are served and families are served by the old Newsies and Goodfellas?
On average, we serve between 3,000 and 3,500 children a year.
No kidding.
Yes.
And
yes.
and what do they get? I mean,
Depending on how much money is brought in, all of the money that is brought in from the old Newsies, except for approximately 5%, goes towards the toys and gifts for the children.
okay.
The other 5%, of course, goes for our insurance, any small office supplies that we can't get donated, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So what happens is, after I find out how much the old Newsies brought in the year before, that we come up with a budget, which is usually between $40,000 and $45,000
No kidding.
to spend on these 3,500 children. And then I go to a toy place. I used to go to a toy place in Des Plaines, Illinois.
Yep.
Last year I went down to Cincinnati, Ohio.
So you've got, I mean, there's a lot of work in this.
There's a lot of work, but it's a lot of love work.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable. I have to say, my husband and I usually go in July or August so we can drive our bike.
Nice.
So it's a nice weekend trip. And so we spend a couple hours looking through the warehouse and picking out toys that we think children can do either on their own or with somebody.
Yep.
Because we know there's a lot of latchkey children out there, so we want to make sure that the gifts are something that they can use on their own, or they can use, in multiples.
Yeah.
We try to buy made in America.
Yep.
As much as possible.
Yep.
So they get at least an individual toy, a pair of gloves, a reading book, a bag of candy,
Nice.
and
Did you say candy?
candy.
Huh?
Candy for the stocking. I know. You got to have candy for the stocking. I probably should put a toothbrush and toothpaste in there too, but, kids have to have their candy. And then another gift, either a family game or a little sports ball or something, whatever we can do. We try to fill the bags as much as possible.
Amazing work. Now the special edition of the paper comes out only once a year.
Comes out only once a year, and
it talks a little bit about the organization. It talks a little bit about the work that gets done. But the key to this is to give everybody in Muskegon that chance to be a part of an experience that's long gone. To find somebody on the street corner going, "Hey, extra, extra, right over here."
That is correct. It's to give you the feeling of the newspaper issue again.
Yeah.
You know, the way back they used to start with a parade downtown.
Did they really?
They would leave the Chronicle building with all their newsboy bags full and waving the paper, and it was quite an event. And,
you should bring that back next year.
You know, downtown is building up again.
Isn't
I'm thinking it should be something. We should get into like the parades, like all the different parades to promote it. So that was one of the reasons to bring the two organizations together, to start getting committees together to see what we can do to change the future.
So with this Saturday being, 2 days away, this thing starts, it's all over the county. I mean,
it's all over the county.
Every city, you got up to Whitehall and as far as...
And Oceana County also.
Oh, Oceana County is in on it too?
Oceana County also, yes. They have their own chapter, and they go around their area. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to their kickoff dinner tonight.
Oh, cool.
So... and then, of course, Flint has a chapter.
Yep.
Detroit has a chapter. And I think there's one more in Michigan, but they're separate from us. But Muskegon and Oceana County in this area work together.
That's awesome. Now, the idea is that the Newsies are out on the corners. You pull up, and either by quick donation or maybe you got a red light for a few minutes, you can stop and talk and learn a little bit about this. And, the idea is just whatever change you've got or extra $1 or $2 or whatever, and that's all it takes to get a copy of this paper?
That is right. And actually, as they bring the money in, we have found envelopes that have been handed to people with letters in them and large donations from people that say, I remember getting gifts when I was a child and found out it was because of the old Newsies and Goodfellows. Or a parent will give us a large donation and say, I remember when I was unemployed and you helped my family.
It's hard to believe that it's generational now.
Yeah, it is generational.
Yeah.
And a lot of my volunteers that help pack the bags for the children have been recipients of the bags either when they were a child or for their children.
Yeah.
So it just gives you goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very great
I've got
program.
some goosebumps going myself this year because I got a hold of you, 6 months ago?
Yes.
And we've been trying to piece this together ever since, but schedules wouldn't gel or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little issue having a full-time job on top of this.
Right.
But I have a very good employer that lets me do what I need to do.
Yeah, she sends nice cards, too.
She does. She does. She is very community involved, and when she sees something in print or on Facebook.
I got a card from Sean Cook, the attorney up in Whitehall up there, and out of the blue, I got a card saying thanks for my involvement with No More Sidelines, and I'm like, who's Sean Cook? I don't know who this is.
Yeah, she thinks community is very important, and as a matter of fact, when I interviewed with her 13 years ago, I told her, well, I'm involved in this, and I might be out of the office in December, here and there, and she was all for it.
Nice.
So yes, I am blessed to have her as an employer.
Awesome. Now, okay, so I got a hold of you. I'm going to be a part of this. I'm going to be on the corner of Henry and Norton this Saturday, starting at about 8 o'clock. And I understand that it goes till like 2 or somewhere in there?
Yes, we have people out until 2. The big selling time is between 8 and noon, our first shift. And then we still have people that go out from 12 to 2.
Yep. I'm excited about this.
I'm very excited that you've joined us, Andy.
I did one of these collections once before when they had the 9/11 happened. I was down on the corner of Henry and Sherman, and I couldn't believe how many people came threw some change in, took their ashtrays out and dumped them over into your kettle. The guys at the car dealership, Tom Miller was still open just down the way there. They all pooled their money, and one guy came down. It's an amazing thing to be a part of.
It is a very amazing thing, and it's amazing that how many people don't know what the old Newsies are after 78 years. But unless you volunteer and become involved or have needed their services, you just
kind of quiet.
It's kind of quiet, and that's why we really need to get it out farther. That's why we've opened up a Facebook page, and we're trying to get more recognition because we need those donations. The need is still there.
It's a big deal, and
we are blessed because Muskegon County has always been a huge community involvement county.
That's why I live here.
Yes,
love it.
That's why I live here too, and that's why I'm involved with the volunteer organizations that I'm involved with. Every year, this one Saturday, selling about 35,000 copies of the Goodfellows, we collect anywhere from $45,000 to $50,000.
Nice.
And it's, we couldn't do it without the community.
Yeah.
the community is wonderful here.
Pick your street corner. I mean, I'm here on Henry and Norton, but that doesn't mean that I'm the only place you can come drop this off. And they kind of work in a quad, right?
Yes.
Everybody in one direction. And
Yep. We have captains in different areas. We have a captain out by the mall. We have captains in East Muskegon, Lakeside, Norton Shores, and then they pick the busier intersections to have their members at.
Yep.
Problem is, since this was started 78 years ago and they were retired newspaper boys, the membership is dwindling.
And how can people be involved?
People can be involved by getting on our Facebook page and asking, for an application.
What can I do?
When they can pick up the newspapers, there's applications in there. So there's any way you can get a hold of us, get an application and be involved, be
That's
a part of it. And the only thing you need to do to be an old newsie is sell the paper once a year, either on the corner or we have a lot of people that pre-sell.
Yep.
I've already been contacted by one person who she's actually going to be on the corner this weekend, but she's already sold 8 papers and collected $220, which is just really exciting.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for 8
papers.
For a 2-page paper, yes. That the prince kind of gets on you too, but it's the fact that people just keep giving, and it's just wonderful.
That's a great thing, and it's a great throwback to the old days too.
It is.
So,
it is.
I'm looking forward to being a part of it this Saturday. We'll put everything up online at MuskegonRadio.com, and if you need the link to the Facebook page and all that, it'll be there. Deb, the work you guys do is amazing. I'm honored to be a part of it, and I think anybody out there in Muskegon, and there's lots of them, that understand the need will throw those pennies, nickels, and dimes in over the weekend.
God bless you, Andy, for joining us, and I want to thank you very much for coming out last night to our kickoff dinner and for having me on the radio today.
Well,
I've brought you a gift to start you out right.
What do I got?
You are going to get a Muskegon Chronicle news bag.
I was hoping for a Harley or something.
Yeah.
Maybe next year?
Sorry, maybe next year.
And a schmuck.
And then you also get an Old Newsy schmuck.
I can't wait.
A bright orange because we want you to be safe on that intersection.
I tell you what, if anybody hits me, they're in for a world of car repairs. I'm easily avoided, trust me.
Well, thank you again, Andy.
Absolutely,
I really appreciate
Deb.
it.
And we'll see you Saturday with the Old Newsies. I'll be out looking forward to it big time.
Fantastic.
Pucker up, Buttercup. Bruce Hornsby. It's Every Little Kiss. It is on Muskegon's 100.9, 716.